Redbirds tonight trying to make it 2 wins in a row over the Rockies and take this series 3 of 4. Rockies and Cardinals in game number 4 from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. With my partner Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Delighted to have you with us. David Freese is in the lineup tonight. He'll also, at some point, we hope, be playing in Kansas City next week for Tony La Russa. He won't start, but voted in.
8.4 million votes for David Freese. He is the last selection for the National League All-Star team. He beats out Michael Bourne, and he deserves it. 13 home runs, 50 RBIs in the first half of the season. Congratulations to All-Star David Freese.
Has a nice ring to it. Congratulations to David is right. Big crowd expected this evening as we edge closer to our first pitch. Back with more on Fox Sports Midwest in a moment. Well, Tuesday, it is the All-Star Game on Fox, July 10th, 6:30. Here locally on Channel 2. There are some first-time All-Stars that are pitchers in the National League. One of those pitching tonight for St. Louis. First full year of starting. That's Lance Lynn. You see his record. It's 10-4. He won his 10th game just minutes after R.A. Dickey won his 10th game. And speaking of the great story that is R.A. Dickey, he's clearly the front runner for the National League Cy Young at this point of the season. 7-0 in his last 8 starts with a .86 ERA. It's been an outstanding year. Not to mention, he's 37. How about a young fireballer? That's Aroldis Chapman. He makes his first All-Star team. Through June 6th, he had a 0 ERA, 24 consecutive appearances without allowing a run. He is headed to the Midsummer Classic. The first pick in 2009. Overall, that was Steven Strasburg. From that first pick to Tommy John, now a ticket to Kansas City, leads the league in strikeouts with 122. He hasn't even reached the 100 innings pitched mark just yet. Wade Miley wasn't even supposed to make the starting rotation for Arizona. Now he's one of the best rookies in all of baseball. The only D-back starter who is healthy and above 500 this year. He has 9 wins. He is headed to Kansas City. From a youngster to a veteran, he's been around a while. The 2005 Rookie of the Year, Houston Street. In his first year with San Diego, the Padres' lone rep. He has only 13 saves for the struggling squad, but he's allowed only 3 earned runs in 22 innings of work. And that's a look at first-time All-Stars that are pitchers this year for the National League. Lance Lynn, an All-Star, going tonight for St. Louis. Cardinals and Rockies have battled this week at Busch. The first game featured some early fireworks from Allen Craig. 2 home runs in the 9-3 St. Louis win. Game 2, Jeff Francis and company cooled off the Birds for a 3-2 win. Yesterday, the reigning postseason MVP and 2012 All-Star had the big hit for a 4-1 Redbird victory. Series finale coming right up on Fox Sports Midwest. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By your Mid-America Chevy dealers, the #1 selling brand in St. Louis. Find us at stlchevy.com. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake, just no equal. Beautiful view of downtown St. Louis, and there's a look at a brand new All-Star. What a feeling for David Freese.
Yeah, congratulations to David. Well deserved. Many people voted for David online and via Twitter for the first time this year, and very excited that he's going to be able to join his teammates for Carl, Beltran, Lynn, and Molina at the All-Star game.
And Rick, you're forgetting about all the Cardinal representation with the coaches as well. It's going to have a Cardinal feel to it.
And if you think about those 5 All-Stars, not mentioning the coach and the former manager, but if you knew there were 5 All-Stars and their names weren't Berkman, Holliday, Carpenter, and Wainwright,
amazing.
If you'd have been thinking about that coming out of spring training, you'd have been surprised. And there's one of the Cardinal All-Stars taking the field, Lance Lynn, who will be starting here tonight.
A look at the lineup that he'll face tonight, presented by Southwest Airlines. Fowler, Scudero, and Gonzalez. Then Kadire, Colvin, Pacheco, the rookie, Rosario, Herrera, and Friedrich. That's brought to you by Southwest Airlines, and it's Lance Lynn. He wasn't sure he was going to make the team. Not only has he made the team, he's in the starting rotation. And he has a ticket to Kansas City on Tuesday night.
Last 3 outings have not been as good. His ERA has jumped a little over a run per game in those last 3 outings. He's lost 2 of them and had a no decision, and really his big struggles have come in the first inning. The good news for Lance Lynn is we really haven't seen any diminished velocity, diminished stuff. Just a matter of not making pitches as he was doing earlier in the season.
Lynn finishing up his warm-up tosses. We take a look at the Cardinals defensively. We saw John Jay with a tremendous play in center yesterday. Matt Carpenter, that's right. He is starting at second base. He's never done that in his professional career. Molina behind the plate. This is presented by Dobbs. And Matt Carpenter, according to Jim Hayes, has not played second base since he was 13.
Interesting place to learn how to play second base at the big league level in a game your team certainly wants to win. I know that Mike Matheny and the Cardinals would feel like a split against the Rockies, as poorly as they've been playing, wouldn't be good enough. The Cardinals should and need to win this game here today, and that's a bit of a risk for Mike Matheny, sending out Carpenter to play second base. He just wants his bat in the lineup, evidently.
Jim Tracy, 4th year in Colorado. Let's recap this series and what's taken place thus far. A 4-game set, so tonight game number 4. With runners in scoring position, the Cardinals only 3 for 25, and yet they have a chance to win this series 3 out of 4.
The Rockies are 5 for 18. That's a little bit better, but a number of those opportunities were misses with the bases loaded for Colorado. So they've stranded a lot of runners. Cardinals have 5 stolen bases to the Rockies 0. And really, the Cardinals bullpen has started to get a bit better. We'll be watching that tonight.
Here's Dexter Fowler, the switch hitter. Pretty good pop from that leadoff spot with 10 home runs, 8 coming from this side of the plate. Hitless in this series. And really a bounce back season of a full season for Fowler. Last 2 years he's had stints at AAA and demotion. They feel, though, he's putting it all together, dealing with a sore hip in this series and getting a start tonight.
0 for his last 7, but he's an exciting player. He leads the National League with 9 triples.
Game time temperature 102, just like it was on the 4th of July. The 0-1 pitch, Fowler pops it foul and out of play. Temperatures have been record numbers throughout the Midwest and here in St. Louis. Yesterday, the hottest start time of a game since 1988. And yet there were over 42,000 here last night. It's amazing.
Another nice crowd here tonight.
Tell me about the stuff of Lance Lynn. What have you thought here in the last month or so?
Well, I don't think his stuff has diminished, as I mentioned, but what I like about him when you look at his full body of work is the way he pitches up and down in the strike zone with his fastball. And there he goes up. He's able to elevate with kind of a riding fastball, but he can also sink it at the knees. I think that just gives him an extra weapon.
Should be interesting to see how Tony La Russa will use him in the All-Star game. Very well could use him as your setup man in the 8th inning. We know he can do that. See the numbers from this side of the plate. Very good. That's just a bit outside. And the count runs full. Leadoff walk. One thing Fowler can do as well is run. Great speed.
Lynn's control has been very good all season long. A leadoff walk. Again, a little trouble here in the first inning. You have the sense if he can get through and breeze through the first couple of innings, maybe he'll settle back into the Lance Lynn that we saw the first couple of months. And not the start he envisioned. Clearly, Fowler 7 stolen bases in 8 attempts.
Lynn was so aggressive early in counts, and as you talked about, Rick, he would dominate with his fastball and locating that fastball. There it is, and a strike to Marco Scutaro. Part of the Clayton Mortensen deal that brought Scutaro to Colorado. Clayton Mortensen, a former Cardinal farmhand, now with the Boston Red Sox. They feel he is a vital player for them to have any kind of success this year, which has not worked out. Last year they lost Mark Ellis to the Dodgers, moved in on Scutaro right away and picked up his salary, which was over $6 million. The throw down to first, safe.
Yachty loves to throw. Close play at the bag. Alan Craig applying the tag just a bit late.
You think about the pressure on Matt Carpenter right here, playing out of position at second base. You've got a stolen base threat at first, double play potential, all the different things that he has to think about pitch after pitch tonight. On the outside corner.
Well, the decisions made by the shortstop, who's going to cover the bag on a stolen base attempt, and if it's a hit and run, who needs to go there? Oquendo's going to be busy, of course, all night long directing Matt Carpenter, but Furcal's going to have to help him out some as well.
There's an off-speed pitch and fouled away by Scutaro. Very tough to strike out, fourth toughest in the National League. Jose Oquendo working with Matt Carpenter. We noticed earlier this week he was taking ground balls at second base, and many times you see guys out of position just taking ground balls just to break up the monotony that is a Major League Baseball season. Didn't think anything of it.
Well, he told us in the pregame show that the balls hit to the right side of the infield. He basically said, hey, ground ball's a ground ball, but it's the double plays, it's the positioning, it's the relays, all the other things that come into playing second base well and effectively, that's going to be a bit of a stretch for him.
The 2-2 pitch, hit out of play again.
The thing in his favor, we learned early on from John Mabry and talking about Matt Carpenter, is how quick a learner he is. You tell him something, he gets it right away. Again, he may not be an all-star second baseman here tonight, and we may see some problems there, but in terms of being able to assimilate information quickly and take it to the field, he's good at that.
Good battle here early on. By the way, in that final vote, we know that Chipper Jones was selected by Tony La Russa to replace Matt Kemp, and it was Bryce Harper finishing third behind Michael Bourne and then David Freese. Second baseman Aaron Hill brought up the rear of the National League vote. He was the last guy on that list. Here's a fly ball out to right. Beltran is there and makes the catch.
Classic saying in baseball is the ball finds you. So if you're Jose Oquendo, you know you're going to put somebody out there that's not accustomed to playing that position. Sooner or later, the ball will find you. You can't hide.
Yeah. We've seen that in this series too, even with a guy like Scutaro, who's very sure-handed, and he threw one away and then had a ground ball right at him after that. Carlos Gonzalez looks at a strike. See Lance Lynn, he's got good movement with that fastball, and he's not quite all the way over the top, 3/4, and he gets a little tail on that fastball too.
He gets a little lower than 3/4 is where he has his problems, and comes on the side of the ball. We see it with his breaking pitch especially.
Another throw down to first. Oh no! Craig can't believe it, and neither can we. He looked to be out.
Very close play. Does the hand get in or not? I don't know. Paul Schreiber right on the call for sure. And looks like Fowler jammed his right hand. perhaps a finger on that slide. He's had a few injuries he's dealt with in the last couple of weeks. Rib cage, shoulder was sore for a while.
1-1 pitch. Mentioned that the first innings have been a problem lately. 12 runs allowed at first inning, 16 starts, 7 in the last 3. Little bigger lead this time. 2 balls and 1 strike. He's not running. Off speed pitch at 85, and Gonzalez a chance to do some damage here. To be pitch number 20 of the first inning. He walked him. Second walk in the inning. And it brings in Michael Kadire. How concerned, Rick, do you get with the innings starting to pile up for Lance Lynn, a guy that has not gone through a full major league season as a starter?
He hasn't done it at the big league level, but he has done it at the minor league level. Last year he was used primarily as a reliever, but the rest of his life before that he was a starter. That's what he thinks he is. That's what he believes he is. So I don't think he's worried about it so much. I think the Cardinals will certainly keep a close eye to that in the second half. I think his issues over the last 3 starts have been more mechanical, coming on the side of the ball, than it has been arm weariness. Still throwing 95 miles an hour here tonight.
Some of the Blues players are in attendance tonight. I want to say congratulations to Bruce Affleck, our buddy, who was named COO last week of the St. Louis Blues, and David Perron signed a 4-year extension this afternoon. Darren Pang, our colleague at Fox Sports Midwest, was at the ballpark yesterday, and hopefully we've got some news concerning him. Runners at first and second, 0-2 the count. Bruce, one of those real good people in our community, and the new COO of the Blues. You talk a lot about his rotation on the mound. He spins off the mound sometimes, doesn't he?
Yeah, you really see it from our angle, the straight on view, how he does a little bit of top spinning, which drops the arm angle just a little bit lower than it needs to be instead of being on top.
Popped up. Molina makes the catch. They jam Kadire, and there's 2 away.
Goal is to go straight at the plate, not spin too much off towards the first base side. Gets in on the hands of Kadire, who's been a very dangerous hitter. That's a big out right there. Kadire, 49 RBIs on the season, has been pretty clutch.
Tyler Colvin batting .302, 10 homers. He's driven in 35. 3 hits in this series, and 2 of the 3 have been home runs. The game that they won 3-2, it was his lone shot 3-run homer that was the difference. Here's pitch number 25 of the inning by Lance Lynn. Five of 5, first pitch strike, something so important. I know you mentioned that to Dan O'Dowd about your time with the Indians. An important pitch. How about a first pitch strike?
First pitch strikes help. Of course, you want to get the second and the third as well.
Yeah, that helps too.
But working ahead makes all the difference.
0-1 pitch. 0-2. Lance, a very quiet guy, born and raised in Indiana. He made 2 stops at a major league park before arriving in the big leagues right here in St. Louis. He grew up a Cardinals fan, and he said, next week I can't wait to possibly have the chance to meet Derek Jeter. Kid that grew up in Indiana. Favorite player, Derek Jeter. 0-2 pitch. Got him. Strikeout for Lance Lynn. He strands 2. No damage done. They continue to work on Dexter Fowler. And remember, he was diving back into first base, and it looked like he jammed his wrist and hurt his fingers. So they continue to work on him before he takes to the field. Rafael Furcal will lead it off for St. Louis as we take a look at the Cardinals lineup tonight. And it is strange seeing Matt Carpenter playing second base, and he'll bat 8th in this lineup. Furcal, Jay, and Holiday, who's just been absolutely on fire. Beltran, Craig, Molina, Freese, the All-Star, Carpenter, and another All-Star, Lance Lynn.
It was odd enough that Skip Schumacher was thrown into that second base pool when we thought that it would be a Descalzo Green platoon for most of the 2012 season. Then Skip needed to be in the lineup because of his bat. Now Matt Carpenter does. So kind of a strange situation for me to see Carpenter at second base. It says something to Tyler Green. You'd like to see him swinging the bat well with a left-handed pitcher and trust him enough for at-bats against the lefty.
Furcal will lead it off for the Cardinals. Pair of hits in this series, and both have been infield hits. 2 for 13 with an RBI. David Freese was just on the big board thanking fans for heading to Cardinals.com and voting him onto the All-Star team. He said it's not the easiest way to get on, but this day and age, that's how you do it. Also with a Twitter vote, and our understanding is the Blues players, along with his Cardinal teammates, got together and did a lot of David Freese voting on Twitter. So thanks to the Blues. It's fun to see that these guys always get together and root each other on. Mike Matheny's daughter, by the way, is a hockey player headed to Ohio State, a Michigan man that is going to see his daughter play hockey at Ohio State. 1-2 pitch to Furcal. Off speed pitch and a base hit. Gonzalez, Fowler, and Colvin in the outfield. Pacheco, Herrera on the left side of the infield, Scudero and Kadire on the right side, and it's Rosario behind the plate. That's presented by Dobbs.
Friedrich, the left-hander, had a very good month of April. In fact, he had over 10 strikeouts in his second major league start against the Giants, but his last 4 outings have not been very good. He's lost 4 straight decisions. Does have good control, however.
Jay drops down the bunt. Moving up on the play, it's Furcal. Is there a hotter player right now on the planet other than Matt Holliday?
I don't think so.
It's been unbelievable. He's hitting over 500 since the midpoint of June. Pair of home runs in this series.
He's so locked in. He's hitting the ball everywhere. He's hitting the ball down the line, in the gap, home runs. Even when he's jammed, he finds a way to flare it into the outfield somewhere. So he's just got it all working right now, and it comes from seeing the ball well. That's where it starts. Seeing the ball out of the hand of the pitcher. That's what Furcal did on that ball he drove back up the middle.
I've asked Al about this. I'll ask you. Who does he remind you of a player that you played with or against your era that had the violent swing that Matt Holliday has with the strength to go with it?
Boy, I'd have to think about that. Andre Dawson had a violent swing, but it was a shorter swing.
Yeah.
He had a short swing, but he swung very, very hard, and it was scary to face. He's the scariest guy you pitch to because he was always trying to line the ball up the middle, too. And he had very good plate coverage. He could hit the ball down just like Holliday can. But he did not have as long, I wouldn't say a long swing, but he had a different swing for sure than Holliday. But it was violent.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. On its way. You saw the numbers a moment ago. He's at 516 since the middle of June. Only Joey Votto has been able to put a run even close to this season with what we've seen from Matt Holliday. 1-1 pitch. Bounced and reading it perfectly for Cowell. No hesitation whatsoever. He winds up at third.
I think he saw that pitch on the way was going to be in the dirt. That's what the Cardinals teach. If the ball's going to be in the dirt, the assumption is very rarely is a catcher going to field it cleanly. There's a secondary lead and very good jump by Furcal. But the assumption is they're not going to be able to pick it and throw you out all in one motion. Most times you'll be safe and worth the gamble for sure.
2-1 pitch to Matt Holliday. Hits a rocket to short. Furcal will score. It's an RBI. Number 55 for Holliday. Well, you like that small ball where the speed and the bunt both come into play.
And also the 41st wild pitch of the year for the Rockies. By far, I mean by far the most in the National League. Part of the reason why their pitching staff has the highest ERA in all of baseball.
It brings in Carlos Beltran. 2 outs, nobody on. Beltran is 1 for 9 in this series. And that's a base hit out to left center field. Gonzalez over to get it. With his arm, you're going nowhere.
And the hope would be that the early run here will settle Lance Lynn down and let him just go out there and kind of pitch his normal game. Beltran, the nice, smooth, easy swing. You see how he centered that on the barrel of the bat. Ball just jumps off his bat.
Alan Craig. You would have to think that Mike Matheny maybe flirted with the idea of Craig at second, Carpenter at first. As a matter of fact, the Rockies saw Alan Craig last year playing second base. He did that 9 times.
Mentioned the control of Friedrich, the left-handed pitcher. Only 1 walk in his last 3 outings, so I think Cardinals are going to be just swinging. He has the ability to strike batters out as well, so just jump on him early in the count. That's what Beltran did.
Two balls and no strikes. Monday night, it was Alan Craig with over 800 feet of home runs to center field. Pair of home runs to get his total to 13. He's driven in 43 and hitting .306. The 2-0 pitch. Mike Everett calling balls and strikes. Paul Schreiber at first. Tim Welke's the crew chief at second. Alan Porter, who was behind the plate last night, down at third. Two and two. Check swing, and he did go. It's a strikeout of Craig, and the first of the night for the lefty. Matt Holliday, the RBI, 1-0 after an inning of play. Way Back Week will continue tomorrow. A look at the 2000 team tomorrow at 6:30. Toyota Cardinals Live on Fox Sports Midwest. UMB Champions Club, nice cool place to be with the championship trophies presented there. That is the place to be on a hot night, as Holliday has given the Cardinals a lead. Pacheco, Rosario, and Herrera for the Rockies, and that's taken for a ball outside. Pacheco, a rookie, hitting .301, does have 1 home run and 16 driven in. For Cowell, charging. And he makes the play. Keys to the game, a presentation of Toyota. A look at these two starters.
Talked about both starters struggling in their last few outings. Friedrich has been a little bit longer. 5 starts, 0-4, ERA over 7. Both pitchers very high opponent's batting average in the last few starts. Lance Lynn, again, hasn't been that far off, just made a couple of bad pitches. He gave up a grand slam to the Pirates, which was a lot of damage in inning number 1, and just like to see him get off to a good start. You get the sense that he'll roll after that.
2000 team was a lot of fun to watch, a team that got the Cardinals back into postseason play. Started a string of 3 that made it into the postseason. Carpenter can't come up with it. It's a base hit into right. Rosario is aboard. 1 out hit, and it brings in the switch hitting Herrera.
Well, if you want to call that a chance, that's his first chance, but it really isn't much of one. This ball hit really hard, and he's just diving at this point, and if he makes that play, that would be some first play as a second baseman. Lays out, and obviously would have been a spectacular play if it worked, so you can't really judge him on that. But sooner or later, he's going to get some opportunities here tonight.
Strike one.
And I'm sure, Dan, he's looking for that first routine 1 hopper. I mean, just not a 1.5 hopper. I mean, just a nice, easy 1 hopper. Make things a little easier for him.
Here's a situation, too, where you have potential of another double play, and he's been dealing with the scenarios all night long thus far, where with every pitch you're moving in, you're moving out, you're moving to one side, moving to the other, who's covering second, stolen base, all those things.
And a lot of head turns to his right to communicate with Rafael Furcal. We've seen that already.
And what you'll see, and I know we get asked this a lot, but Rafael Furcal will look in, get the sign, he sees it, and then they, with a closed or open mouth, they'll hold up the glove and give a sign to Carpenter. Who's covering, the pitch, where it may be, all those things come into play.
And that comes from the shortstop, and there it goes. And it's either open mouth or closed mouth from Furcal to tell Carpenter what his responsibility is. Jose Oquendo also eagle eye. You got a lot of eyes on you when you play second base for the first time. Everybody's watching you.
Slice down the left field line and out of play. So again, Rick, explain what Furcal is going to see here and what he's relaying.
He's going to make sure that the hitter doesn't see this, because he doesn't want him to understand the sign, and he's going to either have an open mouth or a closed mouth, which means either I'm covering second or you are. Closed mouth, we saw it. The hitter didn't. And Carpenter's able to read that, and he has to see it right away, then put his attention back on the batter. And primarily for hit and run situations, somebody has to cover. The other infielder's going to leave a vacant spot.
2-2 hit out of play.
And there are times where the shortstop's going to go off of what Yachty puts down. Off-speed pitch or fastball. Curveball.
See if they want to do any running here with the count full. Off with the pitch, and that's hit out to deep right. Beltran is back. He'll look up, and it's off the wall. Carlos plays it perfectly. It's cut off by Carpenter. It's a double for Herrera. Ball stays in the ballpark, and you have the pitcher coming up, so a chance for Lynn to get out of this.
Not much of a break for Rosario, the runner at first base. I think he thought that ball was not going to get over the head of Beltran. I'm not sure he would have scored anyway. But with the pitcher coming up, might have been worth the effort. Here's the break. He kind of stops and he's not really sure. But by this point, that ball's 20 feet over the head of Beltran. Just didn't read it well. And running on the pitch, he could have been halfway to third and could have scored.
Corners are in. Runners at second and third, one down. Again, another first pitch strike, but we're not seeing Lance Lynn put these hitters away. 8 of 9, first time through the lineup, first pitch strikes. We've seen at times in his starts, Rick, where he just ditches the slider or his curveball, and it's primarily just that two-seamer, four-seamer, mixing it up and spotting it.
I'd like to see the four-seamer here, but I'd also like to see the Cardinals infield charge in. Furcal did it from the shortstop position. They kept Carpenter back. I think it's a way to cut off the run here with the pitcher at the plate, even though you have a one-run lead.
One-two pitch, got him, strikeout. Second of the night for Lance Lynn. Cardinals Kids Clinic, Scott Terry and many former Cardinals get together and put on a clinic for kids ages 7 to 13. That's boys and girls. And the next one will be July 17th. Cardinals.com/clinics. Chance to get tickets and autographs, pictures taken with some of the former players. They do a great job with it. Fowler walked his first time up. Dealing with a bad finger. Remember, diving back into the bag at first base. Ground ball. Lynn has got it. And for the second consecutive inning, the Rockies will strand two. Molina, Friesen, Carpenter coming up. It's 1-0 St. Louis as we move to the home half of the second inning. Crowd is gotten bigger and bigger as the outs have piled up here early on. It's amazing. These fans coming out with the starting temperature of 102 tonight. Cardinals will welcome in Miami tomorrow night. It's the ring giveaway, replica ring giveaway, the second of the season. Sold out. And still tickets available for Saturday and Sunday. Sunday is the kids t-shirt giveaway.
Fans have had a very nice experience during this homestand. The Cardinals are 3-3, and they'll be facing the Marlins when the Rockies leave here. And the Rockies are going to go on and play the Washington Nationals, which won't be an easy chore for them. But Cardinal fans, I think, have enjoyed this homestand despite the heat. Fireworks here in downtown St. Louis last night. All part of the festivities.
Ball one to Yadier Molina. Yadi at 309, and he's hit 13 home runs, driven in 45. A number of home runs hit up and down this lineup. David Freese on deck, and then Matt Carpenter. Yu Darvish, by the way, the winner over the American League for the final All-Star spot. 357 average for Yadi against lefties this year.
We talk a lot about the pitchers having to deal with the heat and their pitch count, etc. But really, the guy behind the plate, Rosario, and the guy at the plate, Yadier Molina, are the guys working hardest as far as the players are concerned. Plenty of people here at the ballpark working hard as well. But as far as the field personnel, not sure I'd want to be a catcher on a day like today.
That's pulled foul. If you need to hydrate, go see Adam Wainwright. He's got peanut butter and jelly sandwiches ready for you. How about that?
The things you learn on our pregame show.
Apparently, Adam likes to refuel with PBJ, and the days that he pitches, it's strawberry jelly.
Grape on the other days.
That's right. And it helped him, he said, yesterday. Yachty hits it high in the air, right field. Colvin over, one away. Players with 10 or more home runs this season. Both these teams scoring runs and home runs and really average collectively. That's not a problem.
5 guys that are on pace to have 20 or more for each team. The only 2 teams in the National League. There are plenty in the American League that have 5 or more with 10+ home runs. The Cardinals really leading the way in the National League in the power department.
David picked up RBIs 49 and 50 late in the ball game last night. That's what most teams had tried to do with him and Holiday. A lot of them busting them in. But more and more lately, we've seen pitches go outside. And if that's the case, we know what David Freese can do there. There they set up outside again. Misses their spot.
Most big league hitters, you can't really stay one way with them for very long anyway, because they're going to start to figure out what the league's trying to do to them. They're going to make an adjustment, maybe move off the plate, maybe open up a bit more.
Freese hits it hard to second, knocked down by Scutaro. And with the ball hit that hard, Rick, that's all you have to do. Knock it down and you've got time.
There's been some skittish play defensively by the Rockies in this series too. They are not really showing to be a very good defensive team this year. They miss Tulowitzki big time at the shortstop position. 14th in the National League in team defense.
11 and 21 with Tulowitzki out of the lineup. And you see Colorado with 63 errors, 1 back of San Francisco for most in the National League. Matt Carpenter at 289. You worry about the psyche of players, and Tyler Green, Descalso, Schumacher, they all come into the clubhouse and they see that Carpenter is playing at second base. 1-1 pitch. Breaks his bat, little floater and a base hit.
He's earned some at-bats, especially with the good at-bats he seems to get against left-handed pitching. Still does not explain Tyler Green not in the lineup. This pitch down and away, and I think you're right. I think there's a message being sent at some point. And I know Mike Matheny said before the game that he just feels like he has to get Carpenter some at-bats. He's very aware that Lance Berkman is soon to come back to this Cardinal lineup, and it's going to be harder and harder to find at-bats for Carpenter. It's just still a bit odd to me.
So 2 outs. Here's Lance Lynn, and strike 1. That one caught the catcher. Yachty's saying, man, that hurts. Glad it's not me.
A little more empathy from the other team's catcher. You have sympathy from others, but empathy from the catcher.
That's right. It's amazing they don't get hurt more often.
Agreed.
0-2 pitch. Lynn is late with that swing. It's a strikeout and the second of the night. Cardinals lead it as we head to the third. It's 1-0. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by the new wireless receiver from AT&T Uverse. Visit att.com/freeyourtv. Rethink possible. By KiaSt.Louis.com. And right now at Jack in the Box, you can try the new Chipotle Chicken Club Combo for just $4.99 plus tax. 1-0 lead as we move to the top of the third here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Lance Lynn has had trouble the first 2 innings, but pitched out of trouble.
You and I both noticed in his last inning that he just looks a little bit less compact than he did early in the season. And it's a very fine line for a pitcher to be kind of loose and flexible in his delivery and wanting to let the ball go. But there's a part of your mechanics where everything just kind of comes together smoothly, and he's just a little bit off, I would say, and you see the top spinning as a result. And you really want to see the back shoulder replace the front shoulder. You don't want to see them spin. You want to see them almost going downhill towards the plate. That was a little bit better. And again, it's a fine line. It's a feel thing. And nobody can help Lance with that better than Lance can.
Talked a lot about that. Even though it's not officially at the All-Star break, we are past now the midway point of the season on the schedule. You start thinking about MVP and Cy Young awards once you get into August and September. So take a look at the first half and who might be that MVP. We've talked about Molina being in the conversation. I think at this point, though, most would give the nod to Joey Votto of the Reds. We saw Andrew McCutchen over the weekend. He's having a tremendous season. He'll be in that conversation.
Cardinal right fielder should be in that conversation. Beltran's numbers are outstanding. Second in the league in home runs, first in RBIs. And before it's said and done, this guy's name will be in that conversation. Carlos Gonzalez. He is batting .363 against right-handed pitching this year.
So many times your team has to win for the individual award to go to a guy like Carlos Gonzalez. And if that doesn't happen, then you have to have a monumental season. It's been done before, a number of times. But statistically, you have to be in another league than the rest of the National League.
Big debate on that particular subject about whether or not it's the best player in the league or the most valuable player for a good team. You can kind of go both ways with it. I would say it's evolved over time to be an award given to a player on a team that wins.
0-2 pitch to Gonzalez.
I've preferred to give it to, or think that the most valuable player in the league is the guy that is the league's best player. That's my personal stance, but many disagree about that.
1 ball and 2 strikes and a swing and a miss. It's a strikeout number 3 tonight for Lance Lynn. Hitting the road will take us in our coverage on Fox Sports Midwest with you. Cardinals baseball can be seen on any of your devices in HD quality. More details at MLB.tv, where baseball is everywhere. There's a strike to Michael Kadire. The master of card tricks, comedian. They say him initially when he went into the clubhouse of the Rockies, he has new teammates. He started doing card tricks, and guys were amazed. And Jason Giambi, who lives in Vegas, said he's better than any guy on the strip right now. That's how good he is. Very likable guy. 0-2 pitch.
Here's some insight into how guys get to know each other. Hey, come on over here. I'll show you a card trick.
That's why he does it.
Isn't that great?
He said he wanted to learn how to do it just to be able to open up to friends and kind of break the ice.
Baseball players become close friends with people who were strangers months earlier just by playing baseball together for 6 months. It's just what happens.
You get into the hotels, road trips late at night with each other from about noon until the end of the ball game, and usually an hour or two after that, day after day. Swing and a miss. Strikeout number 4 for Lance Lynn. Top of the lineup coming up for St. Louis. Cardinals on top. Boys and Girls Clubs of America, place where youth can reach their full potential. If you'd like to find out more, greatfutures.org/Fox Sports.
1-0 Cardinals. The Pirates are trying to reach their full potential. They are leading the Astros again today. The Astros have lost 7 straight games, I believe, and have yet to score, and they're in the 8th inning against the Pirates.
You think about the second half and where your team has a chance to really do damage, and Houston would be one of those teams. Chicago, another team. Who knows what they may do by the trade deadline. But really, it's such a long season that a team can look completely different after that trade deadline.
No question. And you look around baseball, and there's not a division that's any further than 5 games out. That's the American League East. That's the biggest separation right now. The Yankees leading Baltimore, but Tampa Bay, Boston, Toronto are not very far behind in that division. So a lot of divisions with 4 or 5 teams in it, and that's the way it should be.
Fractal bounces one towards second. Scudero, he makes the play. And Fractal, who has scored the lone run tonight, is 1 for 2. A look at the top of the heap. Division leaders, Washington, Pittsburgh, and the Dodgers. Washington, many teams were looking at their pitching and said they're going to be tough to beat, and they have been. Pittsburgh back to where they were just about a year ago. Can they find themselves a little bit more help, both pitching and with their offense? And then the Dodgers.
All 3 of those teams were kind of maybes. Washington, you knew they'd be better, and then the Pirates, you thought, well, just maybe. And even the Dodgers, there were a lot of folks that thought the Dodgers may go south for a while with their ownership issues before they had headed back towards the top, even though they had Ethier and Kemp, 2 of the best players in the league, and a couple of good pitchers too, particularly Kershaw.
They will get those 2 back as well, Ethier and Kemp,
before it's over. But the thought that they would be leading the division, I'm not sure people would have picked them. Most people would have picked them ahead of the Giants or Arizona.
I agree. Arizona, to me, is probably the biggest disappointment out west. And then you look at the Central Division, and Pittsburgh is back where they were a year ago, right around first place. And then in the final 62 games, they fell apart. They picked up Ludwig, Derek Lee, and again, Rick, they're looking for an outfielder and a first baseman. But Andrew McCutchen, as I mentioned moments ago, has been an MVP candidate.
Friedrich has settled down, had a good second inning. Cardinals got to him in the first inning. A wild pitch on his behalf, really a big problem for him in that first inning. That sent Fractal from second to third. He scored on the Holiday ground ball, but he's been pretty good since then. Throws right over the top. And generally, when you throw over the top, you don't get as much movement. You're more of a riding fastball guy than you are a sinking fastball guy, but you can see how he would be a little deceptive with his delivery.
And Jay is down. He'll run towards first, and they record the out. Brings in Holiday.
That's a sharp breaking ball right there. That's a put-away pitch for him. And I'm pretty sure now where he gets his strikeouts from.
You don't see John Jay fooled like that very often.
And he doesn't strike out very much, period. He's become one of the toughest guys in the National League to strike out. And this guy right now is one of the toughest guys in the National League to get at. Period.
2 outs and nobody on for Matt Holliday.
Should we throw him back into that all-star conversations? We didn't mention Matt Holliday, who's not even an all-star, but when you go back to MVP, he certainly would be in the running for it if he puts together a second half like his first half.
Right now he's on a tear. You can't expect him to stay at this clip.
No.
But it's not far-fetched to say he's looking at 110 to 120 in that RBI department. You never know how high the average could get. The home runs, he's going to be over 20 at least, probably 25 to 30. It's been a trade that has worked out for St. Louis quite well.
Been very consistent as a Cardinal, maybe not from game to game, but certainly the first half of each of his seasons with the Cardinals, the numbers have been outstanding. 2010 over 300, the home runs last 3 years, very productive with RBIs, and that's consistent. Now he's not, again, consistent from day to day. He has bad stretches, but cumulatively he just always finds a way to put up the numbers.
The 2-2 pitch to Matt Holliday. They want to go inside. It is spot. And Holliday is down on strikes. He didn't like it. Back-to-back Ks for the lefty and 4 on the night. This Missouri Moment is brought to you by the Missouri Division of Tourism. Go to visitmo.com to start planning your next Missouri getaway. Here's Crown Center in Kansas City. The Crown Center in KC contains more than 60 shops and restaurants. I'm sure many of you are heading there for the All-Star Game in KC. If you'd like to find out more about Crown Center, visitmo.com. Visitmo.com. Our buddy Ryan Peacock is with us, and happy birthday to Ryan. He's got a couple of buddies with him. So happy birthday to Ryan Peacock. He never misses a game that you're on, Rick.
Well, what a better place. Could you think of a better place to spend your birthday than at the ballpark? I cannot.
It's only 102. Feels pretty comfortable.
Yeah, but you know, when you're his age, you don't really worry about temperature.
No, you don't. No, not at all. Wherever you may be, we hope you're enjoying Cardinals baseball. And here's Tyler Colvin. 10 home runs. He's driven in 35, and the first pitch is taken low. One of the things that's been very good for the Cardinals, and we will see the bullpen at some point because the pitch count is pretty high already for Lance Lynn at 60. But that bullpen is starting to settle a little bit. When you look at the performance of Salas the other night, the lefties have been very good. It's been much better.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a maybe a crazy statement to say the bullpen's been very good in the month of July when it's only July 5th, but it's been a turnaround since then, and the bullpen ERA just .84 over the last 6 games with an ERA or with an opponent's batting average under 200, and you just see them striking guys out. You see them getting ahead. You see them attacking the strike zone, and really every one of them's been consistent the last 4 or 5 days. So a lot of positive signs out of the Cardinal bullpen.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. All right, look at that bullpen out there, Rick. When you were pitching at Busch Stadium, yes, before it had been configured, there's nowhere to go. You were there, and you were on the side where basically the Post-Dispatch tarp is.
Exactly.
So
down the right field line.
Exactly. There's nowhere for you to hide. These guys at least can maybe duck under the stands in right field, go cool off, maybe go back to the clubhouse. For you, nowhere to hide on the hot turf of the old Busch Stadium.
Still a nice job to have, though. Well, we would find excuses to go to the clubhouse, though. You want a drink, you want some seeds and whatever, and you just go make a 2-inning trip to go get some food or something for guys in the bullpen. And that's about where we'd be, right where that Post-Dispatch sign is. We actually had very good relationships with a lot of the fans in the first couple of rows.
Season ticket holders there?
Season ticket holders that were right behind us that would they would make sure folks didn't bother us, which is actually something that's important when you're trying to focus on what you're doing during the game. And Dave Ricketts, of course, was very helpful with that fact as well. But the closer typically wouldn't go out there until about the 7th or 8th inning. So it's just us long guys. So a lot of times you just have 2 or 3 relievers out there for the first few innings.
Next day starter, if you're wondering, at the Old Busch Stadium, the way it was configured, where the umpires would come out, was right behind home plate. There was an area that dipped down underneath the seats, and then it would split off to the clubhouses, and the next day starter would be behind home plate with the radar gun and charting pitches. I mean, that's not that long ago, and things have completely changed.
Yeah, now somebody is doing that in a room somewhere, and that information is real-time available digitally to pitchers right after a game and before their next start, and a lot more technologically advanced, obviously, than we were in the 80s or before that. But the idea was the starting pitcher, by doing the charting, would learn things and study things about the other hitters that they could bring into their start the following night.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Pacheco. That's a called third strike. And strikeout number 5 for Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn is busy tonight, and he'll be busy tomorrow night with the Ice Mountain signing out at the Busch Bash. And also, Ice Mountain is sponsoring the kids t-shirt on Sunday. That's this Sunday against the Marlins. Ice cream treats before the game for the kids. Tickets as low as $11. Family Sunday means a free hot dog and soda, and they can run the bases after the game. You are of the belief, as Rosario looks at a strike, that sometimes we maybe give these guys too much information. Sometimes you don't look at your own strengths and pitch to that instead of worrying so much about the opposition.
Yeah, there's times where it could be sensory overload. Anybody that's ever swung a golf club knows that you think about 7 things on a swing. That's probably not a good thing. Maybe 1, maybe 2, but you can overthink. Lance Lynn's not overthinking right now. He's just mowing down the Rockies.
Carsoup.com, and this is from Michael in Los Angeles in our email the booth question. Has any Cardinal ever been on a streak as hot as the one that Matt Holliday is on right now?
Yeah, hold on a minute. I'm finishing my math right now. Dan, let's see. Carry the 3 times 4. Okay, I have the answer. The answer is yes. Stan Musial. He did it in 1953. A guy named Albert, not Shane Deans, but Pujols did it in 2003. These 3 all over 500. And that is represented by 33 plus hits, 4 home runs, 19 RBIs in a 17-game span. So this hot streak for Holliday is right up with the hottest 3 streaks we've ever seen Cardinals have since 1940.
It's amazing. Number 3, Carlos Beltran. It's Beltran, Craig, and Molina. Beltran with a single back in the first inning. The switch hitter looks at strike 1. Both these starters now starting to settle in. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Taken high and outside.
Both pitchers have their command, especially, Dan. They have not really had problems with the walk since the first inning. Friedrich doesn't have a walk yet. Lynn had problems in the first inning with a couple of walks, but both pitchers just attacking the strike zone. That's how you do it. And I do like the curveball with his left-hander. That's really his out pitch. It's his put away pitch.
The 2-1 pitch up the middle. Herrera to his left and makes a nice play. Well, summertime is here, and why not enjoy a little snow cone? That's not little, though. That's pretty big.
I'll say. That would take about 4 innings to eat, would it not?
Sure. She's teaching Dad, all right, you got to get the outside because then it melts and then it comes down this way and then you got to pound it in. It gets a little slushier. Uh-oh.
Kids know best. Oh, Dad stole it. I see. Yeah, now you can have some. Yeah, right. Yeah.
He got caught, didn't he?
Yeah, I got caught. Hey, yeah, sure, it's yours. Uh-huh.
Did you see the little girl's reaction? Whoa. I'm on TV and they got my dad.
She's going to be scarred for life.
1 ball, 1 strike. Craig struck out back in the first. Fouls it back. Little chopper to the right side for the second out. If you're just joining us, it's a 1-0 St. Louis lead. RBI by Holiday back in the first.
Left-hander Friedrich has been much better on the road than he has at home, and he's made no bones about it. He said, I just am not comfortable pitching in Colorado, but the numbers can bear that out. 5 starts there, 1-3 ERA, now over 9.5. And there's something about that ballpark that can really get in the head of a pitcher. And it's kind of ebbed and flowed over the years, where there have been years where the pitchers don't seem to worry about it and they just go about their business. But this year does not seem like it's one of those years. It's just really one. The park is one. And it's in the head of their starting pitchers right now, which may add to this need for the 75 pitch limit that the Rockies have gone to.
0-1 pitch to Yadier Molina. Floats high for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's a grounder that's hit to short. Cardinals go in order. 1-0 St. Louis after 4 innings of play in Game 4 between the Rockies and Cardinals. Cardinals All-Stars Beltran, Molina, Furcal, Lynn, and Freese just added hours ago. With more on that, let's check in with Jim Hayes. Jim.
Yeah, Mike Matheny gave David Freese the news that he's an all-star while Freese and his teammates were in Bible study. Matheny said he thought he might pull David into his office and tell him one-on-one he thought that would be selfish. He wanted to give Freese the news in front of his teammates so the whole team could share. It tells you something about how guys were rooting for David Freese.
He is as well liked of a player that you'll find on this team. And this is my 15th year involved with the club. About as good a group of people that the Cardinals have assembled off the field.
No question. And you just know that when a guy gets an award like that, that's something that they celebrate along with him. Yes, it's David Freese and a culmination of being a kid wanting to be an all-star, growing up and thinking maybe someday I can be a World Series hero and then an all-star, and now he gets to be both, but his teammates get to celebrate that along with him.
Ground out by Herrera. You have a first-time all-star in David Freese. And Jim, how about that guy, Carlos Beltran? He's done it a number of times, but for him it's so special just to return to Kansas City.
Yeah, he said it would be an emotional thing for him to go back and be in the all-star game at this point in his career, where his career started. But the whole team gets behind all these guys. Yadier Molina, a lot of his teammates felt he should start. They feel he's the best catcher in baseball, and they're very happy as well for a guy like Lance Lynn, who really came out of nowhere to solidify that starting rotation. and now he's an all-star. But these guys back each other, and David Freese was talking about one of the thrills for him being part of this, yes, but also getting to play for Tony La Russa one last time, reuniting with the old coaching staff, and also being there with the 4 other Cardinal teammates.
0-2 misses outside, and Jim, I'm going to bring up the point that you just made. Tony La Russa, maybe his final hurrah center stage nationally. What do you think that's going to be like? And I know you're around him and were around him a number of times, pre and post game shows, but the media attention that he'll have, Dusty Baker, the dust up with the Reds, all that going into it. What do you think it's going to be like?
Yeah, I think Tony's going to put that behind him and soak up every minute. You know, he's still involved with baseball, but as you mentioned, his job now, he's not really the focal point. He's managing the National League All-Stars. It's his last time managing, we believe. I think he's going to kick back and soak up everything and not let any of the negative stuff or the controversy get to him one bit.
All right, Jim, good stuff as always. Thanks. And we're back to the top of the lineup, and Fowler, and he rips it into right field for a 2-out base hit.
At least the game's not in Cincinnati.
Thank goodness. Brings in Marco Scutaro.
Not a bad location. Tried to go in on Fowler. He just dropped the head. And Fowler's been dealing with that issue that happened early on. He jammed his finger, but he had no trouble dropping the bat head on that. And the reminder that he runs well. So it could be a situation here. We'll try to get himself into scoring position for Scutaro.
2 outs, runner at first. As a matter of fact, Tony La Russa, one of his roles is to look at times plays that can be overturned, and they overturned an error in the Miami series on their shortstop Reyes that turned into a base hit for Alan Craig. The final vote on that, Tony La Russa. One of his jobs with Major League Baseball. They bounce a ton of ideas off of Tony and things that come across the commissioner's desk, and Tony's a part of that. And Rick is pumped that Tony will be at the All-Star game wearing that Cardinal uniform.
One more time, Cardinal fans get a chance to cheer for and respect Tony La Russa, the job that he did, and really just an award for him and what happened last year. And you know, the winners get the spoils. And if you're Dusty Baker and you look at all the Cardinals that are in the All-Star game, you say, well, you know, win the World Series and you'll do the same thing, which he would do as well. Certainly questions, and I've had my questions about whether or not it's appropriate for a non-uniform person to be managing a game that counts. That's a little problematic for me.
Fowler was running on that pitch, but
as we've seen in history, that you have a much better chance of winning the World Series if you win the All-Star game. I'm teaming as a league. 10% better chance, which is why this game counts. And so he is representing the National League and what might happen in October.
it's out of play.
Good pitch to go on here for Fowler. Going to try to time the delivery of Lance Lynn the best he can. See if he can't get a little bit of a jump and don't go too soon.
Lead is shortened up a bit from first time that he was on.
Some guys
he's shaking his head as something's not right with his finger.
Sometimes guys will shorten up their lead and then take a one-way lead, and it's actually an indication that they're going. In his case, he does seem to be a little bit agitated.
Two and two the count. Big gap in left center. Foul tip.
Looked like he wanted to go on that, just didn't get a jump, so then kind of stood straight up again and almost frustrated by Lance Lynn.
This would be a very big out. You don't want to see Gonzalez come up with 2 runners on. Let him lead off the top of the 6th. Kendo directing the signals to the infield.
Pretty active tonight, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Nice to have Jose back after a little illness, kept him out 2 or 3 games. He was itching to get back out again. He feels much better. He is directing traffic defensively.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 1-run lead for St. Louis. Not running again, and the pitch is lined foul. Does it surprise you that Fowler isn't running in this position?
Well, he tried it once and got a decent jump on a foul ball, had to come back, and he just hasn't been able to get a jump since then. I think he's having trouble reading Lance Lynn for whatever reason. Stealing bases is more than speed. There's an art to it. I love to hear Lou Brock talk about that.
Here's a fly ball out to left, going back. Holiday with room. He's got it just in front of the track. Freese, Carpenter, and Lynn due up for St. Louis. Bush Bash will be tomorrow night, and get an autograph from Lance Lynn 2 hours prior to every Friday home game. Find out more and get your tickets. Cardinals.com/promotions. Just a handful, literally a handful of tickets available for tomorrow if you come to the ballpark. Three hits aside and a 1-run St. Louis lead. Curveball floats in there for a strike to David Freese. Freese has a base hit into right.
And a typical David Freese hit. Inside out swing, shooting the ball the other way. Past the diving first baseman Kadire. Waited on the breaking ball and just drove it. Hands back, lets the ball get deep in the zone. And he just doesn't tap the ball the other way, he drives it.
Now Matt Carpenter. Carpenter with a base hit into left. The check on David Freese. Wonder if this will be the final at bat for Matt Carpenter. Tight ball game heading into the 6th inning. And remove him, and you've got Scalzo, Green, Schumacher that can play second base.
I think that's a good idea, frankly. Let him have another at bat. You know that the pitcher won't be in much longer. They'll go to a right-hander, so you could go to Descalzo.
Pitch count at 61. Look at that, 40 strikes for the lefty.
He's learning his lesson. Dan O'Dowd's trying to teach the Rockies pitchers get outs with a few pitches, please.
Lynn is at 86. 1 ball, 1 strike on Carpenter. Says no batting gloves is what he is asked about more than anything. He did receive a World Series ring last year when he picked up his first ever major league hit. Brief time with the Cardinals. He said, I wasn't asked about that. I'm not asked about being in the big leagues. I'm asked about no gloves when I hit.
John Mabry's still asked about that.
It's a rarity.
Andy Van Slyke is still asked about that.
That is foul.
I would imagine for him, as used to swinging without batted gloves as he is, I would imagine if he put gloves on, it would be the most awkward feeling. Almost no
restrictive.
Yeah, very restrictive, almost kind of like trying to throw a baseball with a batted glove on. You just don't have that feel, and the feel is such an important part of his stroke to him.
Solid player, isn't he?
He certainly is. And again, good at bats against left-handers.
1-2 the count on Carpenter. Short lead at first by Freese. Check swing. Did not go.
Talked the other day about the umpire asking, did he go? Is he going to ask with the right arm or the left arm? He happens to point kind of like gingerly, did he go? I think there's a communication between them about whether or not the home plate umpire thinks he actually swung or not. Not 100% sure, so I'm going to signal to the base umpire what I think. And communication, very important for umpires. I'm kind of in that boat where I think umpires actually do a good job. I think umpires are better than they were 30 years ago. I just think the scrutiny on them is much, much greater, and it unearths some of the mistakes they made, but trust me, they made them 30 years ago too.
2-2 pitch. Carpenter slices one down the left field line and foul and out of play.
And I know I'll have a lot of umpire haters that disagree with me strongly on that statement, but I could point to a few umpires back in the day who you'd have to flip a coin for. And now after every game they get a digital readout of how many strikes and balls were called correctly, and every one of the plays on the base pass that they dealt with, they'll get graded on it daily. And
you went to an umpires camp, correct?
I went to a umpires symposium where they talked about how umpires are evaluated and rated and dealt with in terms of the mistakes that they make by the umpire supervisors. Of course, it's kind of an in-house thing and we don't hear about it. And they didn't give us details, but they did say on balls and strikes they're right 95% of the time. And I can think of some umpires that 95 would be generous back in the day.
I'm not sure I would agree with everything you said, with the exception of the scrutiny is a little harder.
Yeah.
And it's much greater now. And there is no debate with that.
Well, we have camera angles now,
Exactly.
and we have replays now that show things that you could not have seen. And again, I'm talking 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
And I think it's made them have to be better, or they don't last.
We have our super slow-mo camera, and that enhancement in itself has been a nightmare for umpires. All right, here we go. First and second. Lynn looks at a ball. They throw behind, and back in safely Carpenter.
And I expect to get a nice present from the Umpires Association somewhere in the next couple of weeks for saying something nice about it. Maybe I should become part of their union. They're probably not too happy about all the instant replay stuff going on either, I might add.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. 2-0.
Cardinals have to take advantage of this opportunity. I mentioned earlier in the telecast, I do not think you can be happy, even remotely happy, with a split with the Rockies right now. I don't think Cardinal fans would be. I don't think this crowd would be. I don't think the players would be, nor would their manager. The Rockies are down. They're 14 games out. You can't just split with them at home and be happy with it.
3-0.
You have to take a strike.
The 3-0 pitch. And he walked him. Bases loaded. Back-to-back walks. In steps Furcal. A single by Freese to right. Carpenter, terrific at bat to work a walk. And who knows, maybe the lefty was a bit unnerved after that at bat in leading the Lynn.
And there's sometimes you're unnerved by that, and there are times where you're unnerved when the guy's in a bunt situation. You start to look at the bat, you start to look at the player squaring, and you lose focus on the glove, and all of a sudden the plate dances around a little bit. Whatever the reason, uncharacteristic for Friedrich to have not just one walk, but 2 walks in a row. He'd gone 3 starts with just 1 total walk.
Bases loaded. First pitch to Furcal is taken inside. That's 6 straight balls, and Furcal tonight has singled and walked as Bo McLaughlin, no relation, will have a visit out on the mound, and also Furcal has grounded out to second.
And we learned early in the series, talking to the Rockies personnel, that the 75 pitch limit is not a hard count. It's not as if you get to 75 then you're absolutely out of the game, but that's when they start to move towards you being done. So if the starting pitcher gets over 75 and he can't finish an inning, they'll bring in a reliever. Otherwise, the next starter will come in and start the next inning.
They have been trying with starting pitching.
A lot of them haven't worked out, though. The 2006 draft choice, Greg Reynolds, 2nd pick overall, has just made it to AAA, and that's 6 years later. And Friedrich, the left-hander, was the choice in 2008, 25th overall pick.
One-zero pitch to Rafael Furcal. Good rip. There's 6 straight balls, though. He went after that pitch thinking he was going to get something to drive.
And I'm okay with that. He might force the pitcher right back into being fearful about throwing the ball right down the middle on the next pitch, and he might get wild again.
1-1 pitch. Here it comes. Spoiled by Rafael Furcal. John Jay on deck. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Cardinals have a 1-run lead, trying to take 3 of 4 against the Rockies. Another huge crowd here tonight, and they are ready to explode here in the 5th inning. One-two pitch again. Strikeout of Furcal. That's a big one. And it brings in John Jay. Lefty-lefty matchup here.
The curveball that we've seen in the dirt. Furcal just trying to put it in play. He didn't see that ball well at all. Kind of a half swing from Rafi. Cardinals cannot afford to miss here in the 5th inning. Too good an opportunity.
Bases loaded for Jay. Struck out his last time up. Takes a pitch outside for ball 1. Scoring position has been an issue for the Cardinals.
And the Rockies both.
1-0 pitch. 2-0.
Rockies lead the National League in batting average with runners in scoring position, but they haven't done well in this series, and neither have the Cardinals. There's the 289 for the Rockies. The Cardinals just behind them, but a big difference though, 289 to 273. And that's hitting as a team with runners in scoring position. The crowd wants some action right now.
Stays inside with that pitch. 2-2. Very easily could be 3-1.
A break for Friedrich, and he knows it, with Matt Holliday looming. John Jay, a .383 hitter in his career against the Rockies.
Two pitch. All eyes on John Jay. It's another 2-2 pitch. Full count. He walked him. Bases loaded, walk. 2-0 St. Louis. That's 3 walks in the inning. And here comes Holliday.
Pitch count now at 85. I would be surprised if he is allowed to pitch to Holliday. Right-handers ready. Tyler Chatwood. Command is not there this inning for Friedrich, and he's going to get a chance to pitch to Holliday. Very surprised.
RBI already for Holliday back in the first inning. Bases loaded. The 0-1. 0-2.
This has to be about Jim Tracy just giving some experience to a young left-hander, giving him the opportunity. Lefty on righty, bases loaded, command problems, and it's not just any righty.
One and two.
Good spot. 0-2. Came in last time on Holliday. Will he come back in again? Last pitch down and away.
Holiday, base hit into left. 1 run will score. They'll hold up Lance Lynn, even though it's bobbled and left by Gonzalez. 3-0 St. Louis. The second RBI tonight from Matt Holiday. Holiday RBIs 55 and 56 tonight. We'll tell you about the change. They're having some fun at Busch when we come back. On the air tomorrow at 6:30 on Fox Sports Midwest. Miami in town. Nolasco and Westbrook. Nolasco 7-6. Westbrook is 7-6. Budweiser, what's on tap? 3-0 Cardinals on 5 hits tonight. And still some damage left to be done. Beltran coming up.
The wheels came off for Friedrich here in the 5th inning, and he gives way to the right-hander Tyler Chatwood. He's our Mid-America Chevy dealer's call to the bullpen. He pitched game 1 in this series and did not fare that well. 2 1/3 innings, 5 hits and 4 runs. Cardinals hit him around pretty good, and the ERA close to 9 for the right-hander.
Beltran is 1 for 2. Bases loaded. Righty versus lefty here. Ball 1. Tough to ask a reliever to come in this spot. Not only is it the bases loaded, but you face one of the best power hitters right now in baseball.
Tough assignment, to be sure.
The 1-0. 2-0.
But you want to keep getting assignments. You have to do well in tough ones.
Seen 2 very good at bats with walks in this inning. Carpenter and also John Jay. Off speed pitch, 2-1. Beltran smokes one out to center. That ball is off the wall. 2 runs will score. Carlos Beltran delivers.
RBIs number 64 and 65 for Beltran. The smooth, easy swing, and he just crushes this ball to straightaway center field. Eyes right on it. And this ball off the bottom of the wall. The relay throw actually got away from the middle infielders, and Holiday almost took off from third. Oquendo wanted him to look at it and think about it, but they recovered quickly enough. But still 2 more runs out there for the Cardinals. RBI opportunity for Allen Craig.
11th double of the season for Carlos Beltran. 9 of those of the 11 have come from the left side. Five runs on 6 hits. Team leader in doubles is on deck, and that's Molina with 15. Craig 0 for 2 tonight. Infield drawn in. Had a good rip there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pirates win again, 2-0 the final. Atlanta over Chicago 7-3. That's a final. 1-1 pitch to Craig. 1-2. Cardinals, though, in this inning have had some very good 2-strike at bats.
Absolutely. You mentioned the at bat of Carpenter. That's really set it up. David Freese got it going.
John Jay's at bat.
John Jay's at bat was good. Lance Lynn just watched 4 pitches go past him. That's really where the trouble just got exponentially worse for Friedrich. When you walk the pitcher, trying to give you an out, you can't take it. That's very, very frustrating for him. And we saw some talent from him here tonight, but not able to finish the job here in the 5th.
One-two pitch again to Craig. Late swing, got a piece to stay alive. Carlos Beltran with the 2 RBIs, 65 to lead the National League. He's now 3 for 7, 8 RBIs with the bases loaded this year. Breaks his bat, hit to short, play at the plate, and save! He's safe! Somehow he gets under the tag and scores! How does that happen?
Well, how does Herrera catch that ball with the bat coming at him? That's the one thing I don't understand. The second thing I don't understand is how this tag is so high on Holliday and how he misses him, almost as if he was going backwards. Holliday slides to the front of the plate, umpire right on top of it. That's Mike Everett. And there he is. He's going away from the plate, and Holliday slides towards the plate. And that's just an experience for Rosario behind the plate. We've seen his athleticism, to be sure, but he has some lessons to learn about receiving at this level. Break for the Cardinals.
Got Holliday bearing down on you coming from third base. Maybe you're thinking you're going to get drilled. This could be a double play. 4-6-3. Big inning for St. Louis. 5 runs. 6-run cushion for Lance Lynn. Alan Craig left stranded, but he helps out. And the Cardinals have a 6-run lead.
Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Ford, the official vehicles of the Cardinals. Another steamy night in downtown St. Louis. The Cardinals, with a 5-run 5th inning, have opened up a 6-0 lead. Final game against the Rockies. Matt Holliday has been a big part of the Cardinal offense. 3-hit night for Matt.
So Lance Lynn back to work, a cushion now of 6 runs as we move to the top of the 6th. Real key out, I think, in the game, Rick, is going back to the top of the 5th. You've got Scutaro up, and if he reaches 1-run lead with Gonzalez at the plate. Instead, Gonzalez comes up down by 6 runs and now pops out to short.
Mentioned a 3-hit night for Holliday, just a 1-hit night for him, but 2 RBIs. And he just continues to extend his hot streak. And still surprised that the left-hander was able to pitch to Matt Holliday. Friedrich had a nice start going, and the wheels just came off in that 5th inning. Cardinals have just managed 6 hits as a team, but they've made them count. And Lance Lynn certainly has settled in after some rockiness in the early going.
Kadire with a base hit into center field. 1 for 3. Is this one of those games where, with the heat, and clearly the Cardinals are looking at the innings of Lance Lynn, where get him through this inning and call it a night? 6-run lead. He's had 89 pitches, and with the 6 runs, you know, you catch a little break here and maybe pull him.
I think 6 innings for sure is what you want your starters to go. In fact, he's been averaging 6 innings to start. And I think it just depends on how he kind of gets through this inning. You know, gets a ground ball here on 1 pitch, then you think twice about it. And again, I'm not as worried about Lance Lynn's innings as most are. I just think he's been a starter his whole life. He's a horse. Unless he is laboring and showing signs of fatigue that I haven't seen yet, I think baseball worries too much about the innings for starting pitching.
And having said all that, it is a factor, though. They do look at those, scrutinize the innings, the amount of pitches per game, more so now than ever.
And again, to the detriment of the bullpen at times, because the bullpen is harder on your arm than starting.
One ball, 1 strike with 1 out. Ground ball to short for Kyle to second, out there, and that's all they'll get. You know, on the flip side of starting Carpenter at second base, at this level, you always hear coaches, managers, whatever the sport may be, when you play a guy out of position, you worry about the possibility of injury.
Well, and this possibility became almost a reality there. He didn't get his feet out of the way quickly enough, and there's his left foot getting pinched a bit by Kadire, and that could have been a bad thing. Fortunately, he's okay. You would not expect that to be a double play, clearly. But again, that's where you just become a first baseman. You know you're not going to get a double play, so you get yourself out of the way quickly, get out of the way, and I'm sure that's something Jose will talk to Carpenter about. And now, Dan, your earlier thought, which was a good one, about a defensive replacement, 6-0 lead, doesn't seem quite as important. Maybe not a bad idea if you want him to potentially be a second baseman, to give him some experience here.
Yeah, and Mike Matheny was saying before the game, the whole idea of this is to try to keep Carpenter sharp some way, somehow. You're not going to sit Freese, you're not sitting Craig, and you're not sitting one of your outfielders. So this is the spot they felt they could do it in.
And it's going to get worse when Berkman comes back.
Sure. Good problem to have, though.
Yeah.
0-2 on Jordan Pacheco.
Jose's working hard, isn't he? Every pitch he is just, I mean, he's feeling it. Moving him again. Okay, that's good.
Ground ball left side and off the glove of Freese into left field. Two runners on here in the top of the 6th. If you'd like to be here in person next time the Cardinals take the field, just head to StubHub. Easy to find the seat you want, and you'll see all the Cardinals action in the seats that you'd like to sit in. Official fan-to-fan marketplace of the Cardinals. It's StubHub.
Ball was well hit, but it scored an error on David Freese, his 5th of the season. And it's been a part of his game that we probably haven't talked enough about. His defense has been very good. Really, the
5 on that play.
Really, the Cardinals defense overall has been very good. Third in the National League as far as fielding percentage goes. For calls, been smooth up the middle. They're turning a lot of double plays. Molina, we know how good he is. John Jay's been very solid in center field. Holiday's much improved in left. And Beltran's been good in right.
One ball, one strike on Rosario. 1-2. As the game has gone on, Lance Lynn is getting those calls on the corners. Ground ball again. The ball will find you after an error, and Freese makes that play easily. That was pitch number 100 of the night. For Lance Lynn, it's 6-0 midway through 6. Bring the entire family to Major League Baseball All-Star Fan Fest from July 6th through the 10th in Kansas City. Major League Baseball All-Star Fan Fest, an interactive baseball theme park and the largest baseball fan event in the world. Get free autographs from legends and members of the Hall of Fame and so much more. To guarantee your preferred date and time slot, buy tickets now at allstargame.com. All-Star attractions are included with price of admission. David Freese will lead it off. Freese is 1 for 2 on the night, and a day in which he learned that he is headed to the All-Star game. Lafayette High School, Merrimack Community College.
Probably going to hit him in waves. I mean, the first initial reaction, of course, he was hopeful yesterday when he knew that he was leading in the vote getting, but you still don't want to count it till it happens, and then you get the news and you're excited on one level. But there'll be a time tonight where he's just sitting at home and he goes, he'll probably think, I can't believe what just happened to me today.
Think about how his life has changed from October to now.
Right. He's still probably having some moments feeling what happened last October.
I don't think there's any doubt. 0-1 pitch. It's Dyer Miller, the bullpen coach, and Browning, who's been perfect so far. Barrett Browning, the lefty. We assume that he would come in and pitch the top of the 7th. Freese, a ground ball again to the right side. Taken there by Scutaro, and there's one away. David 1 for 3 on the night. Well, the luxury of a 6-run lead here tonight. We had thought that possibly be 2 at-bats and out for Matt Carpenter, and then put in somebody that defensively is more comfortable at second base. But you buy yourself some time here. Carpenter an extra at-bat and possibly stays in the game.
Daniel Descalso is in the on-deck circle, so that scenario may happen as we go out for the next inning, that Descalso will stay in the game and play second, and the pitcher will be a part of the double switch and hit in Carpenter's spot. So we may see that happen here.
1 ball, 1 strike. You can have all the extra BP you want, cage work and tee work and soft toss, but nothing can replace being in live action. That's what Mike Matheny's trying to do here. Keep him sharp, and that's a tough pitch to take. 95 at the knees on the black, the outside corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 1 out and nobody on.
Carpenter is hitting .295. Think about Mike Matheny's decision to play him today, I mean, that's probably a good enough reason. He's earning playing time, and Mike's trying to find some way to get it for him, including putting him in a position he hasn't played since he was 12.
Open stance of Carpenter. This right-hander with nobody on, working from the stretch. That's taken low. You know, this is something that falls in line with Beltran, Berkman, Holiday, to an extent John Jay. How many pitches Matt Carpenter sees per at bat?
Right.
He goes very deep into a lot of counts, 2-strike hitter. And there it is again. He draws the walk. On base for the 3rd time, and the 2nd walk that he's drawn. Things just got serious because the Cardinals have scored 6 tonight. So any size drink, just 50 cents all day tomorrow. At your nearest On the Run and Mobile. This year, 6 is a serious number. So Descalso will pinch hit for Lance Lynn. Fractal on deck. And that's taken for a ball. Rick, you played on great teams. You played on bad teams. Rockies right now are looking at a scenario where we're not to the All-Star break yet. And they are going in the wrong direction in a hurry.
Yeah, they're going towards a 100-loss season.
Descalso pops it up into shallow left. Gonzalez will make the play.
And when you are on a team that's headed in the wrong direction in terms of this year, and you know, I know a lot of what they're doing is thinking about 2 years down the road or even more than that, part of the 2 or 3 year rebuilding plan that they have. But you really want to have a manager like Jim Tracy, and I just have so much respect for him. I think he is as nice a guy as you're going to find, and it's not about being a nice guy, but he's positive and he's real with his players. And I mean, I just think he's a good baseball man and really the perfect guy for a tough situation.
That's what makes this run of the Cardinals even more impressive. How teams have to reload. You know, the Cardinals have not had to completely say, all right, we're starting over. They haven't done that in a long time.
Very few times have they had to do that. We remember that, and you go through some Cardinal lean years in the 70s, and there were some in the early 90s for sure. But you know, the tradition of the Cardinals over the last 100 years has been a winning organization. It comes from scouting well. It comes from signing the right players, developing well, fan support, and getting the right guy to lead your ship too.
Strike. The Cardinals hold on. Lance Lynn will go to the All-Star game 11-4. I'm sure Tony La Russa is taking a hard look at the guys that will walk into that All-Star game from a pitching perspective, well rested. That would be Lance Lynn.
Should be. Good timing for him. That's such an oddity too with teams in baseball that Tony La Russa will start getting calls from all the managers in the National League, and they'll say, okay, I really want to win this game, but don't pitch my guy.
Right.
Because I want him to go against. I can't wait to hear what that call's like with Dusty Baker calling about don't pitch my guy Chapman, because I might want him for that first series after the All-Star break. Like to be a fly on the wall for that call. But that's kind of an oddity. You have kind of conflicting purposes.
Cardinals will open up after the break. Road trip with Cincinnati and Milwaukee. This becomes a very interesting time for the Milwaukee Brewers. Are they sellers? Do they still feel they can get back in the race? Only 7 games out. Zach Greinke a free agent to be. Chicago, it becomes a huge 3 weeks. Garza, Lahair, many of their players up for auction. Dempster, as they have sold their fan base on the idea that, all right, we're starting from scratch with Theo Epstein. They've heard it before, but now it's a new regime. Houston, same thing. Talked a little bit about Wandy Rodriguez last night. Bud Norris. There's even talk about Altuve, which surprised me. 3-2 pitch. For Kyle, up the middle. Herrera fires to first. Nice play.
He's been very, very good tonight, Herrera. Good range, good arm.
Look at the All-Star David Freese. Our trivia question: who was the last World Series MVP to be named to the All-Star team the following season? This is prior to the announcement hours ago with the Cardinals third baseman Jermaine Dye, 2006.
That was after he won the World Series, was the MVP for the White Sox. Lance Lynn, his night is through, trying to cool off a bit. Alan Craig was standing behind Lance Lynn just a few moments ago, and Lance Lynn is talking about pitching, and Alan Craig is talking about hitting. You never stop talking baseball. Go right to the ball, on top, right to the ball. That's what he's thinking about his swing. He's had a bit of a loop in his swing, and he has been handled the last 8 or 9 at-bats by the Rockies pitchers after hitting a couple of home runs earlier in the homestand.
A 6-run lead for the Cardinals. Lance Lynn is through, so Browning, the lefty, is in. He's had 2 scoreless appearances. And his first call up to the big leagues. It's our Chevy call to the pen. Lance Lynn, by the way, 6 innings, no runs, 4 hits. Walks 2, strikes out 7. Barrett Browning developed a couple of pitches this offseason, and he says it's made all the difference in the world. Curveball, slider, changeup, 2-seam, 4-seam fastball. That pitch is popped up. It is playable. Craig wants it, coming in. Much easier play for him instead of Yachty, and it's 1 away. If Lance Lynn and the Cardinals can hold on tonight for Lance's victory, it'll be number 11, which would tie him with Gio Gonzalez for second. The league leader, R.A. Dickey, at the age of 37 with 12 wins. Bumgarner at 10, Cole Hamels at 10. Here's Eric Young as a pinch hitter. Second night we've seen him do this. He started in place of Dexter Fowler beginning of the series. Ground ball. How about this? Get him. He does. Bobbled it, stayed with it. Descalso. You start to bobble it, and knowing Daniel, he knows the speed of EY Jr. He's got to get rid of it.
No question. And I'm in for defense. I better make this play. And he does. Finds the handle. And a perfect throw just in time.
Again, if you're just joining us, it was Matt Carpenter. That's right, Matt Carpenter making the start at second base. Get it.
Look how many times he had to reach for that. That's a great look.
Dexter Fowler. Strike 1. Tell you what, Barrett Browning has gone right at hitters. That's something we've noticed. It's a very, very small sample size, but he goes after the hitter. A lot of first pitch strikes.
And
quickly
nothing,
0-2.
And nothing spectacular in his stuff, but you're throwing strikes, you're getting ahead. Game's a lot easier.
Talking with a Hall of Famer the other day, and he said it drives me crazy the lack of strikes in the game today. And as he said, the best in the business still don't do it very often where they get on base, even with pitches that are hittable. But when you're aggressive and you come at the hitter, it puts more pressure on the hitter too. You can't pick and be successful. One ball and 2 strikes.
Well, sometimes you're picking because you're fearful of what the batter can do, and then you get behind, and then you have a reason to be fearful, because then pitching really gets tough. So you might as well take your lumps on the first pitch, say, here, hit it, and if they do, they do.
And it's a swing and a miss, a strikeout. Descalso bobbled it once, twice, 3, 4, maybe 5 times. Who knows? As we head to break, it's time to stretch, and he made the play. 6-zip St. Louis. Big Papi with career home run number 400 as we go around the league. Cliff Lee, first win of the season. That's hard to believe. Andre Ethier out with that strained oblique, and Carlos Lee paying dividends already for the Marlins, and we'll see him tomorrow. Matt Reynolds is into the ball game for the Colorado Rockies. He'll face John Jay, Matt Holliday, Carlos Beltran. It was a 5-run home half of the 5th for St. Louis. Cardinals have out hit the Rockies 6-4 as Jay looks at a strike, and they lead 6-0. John Jay, a sacrifice in the first, strikeout in the third as you get a look at the numbers for the lefty, and with the bases loaded, walked to pick up an RBI. Also with the bases loaded last night, he was hit by a pitch that brought in a run. Jay with a base hit into center field. Leadoff hit for John Jay. Don't miss the biggest stars in baseball. They'll be in Kansas City Tuesday night, 6:30. You can see the All-Star game only on Fox. Just showed that graphic of Big Papi and a home run number 400. And he's headed to another All-Star game. And he has been remarkably consistent for the Boston Red Sox, and one of the great postseason players in the history of baseball.
Thought maybe he was at the end of the rope last year. There were times where he was really struggling. You thought maybe his power numbers were going to be over, but he certainly has made a comeback.
Talk about his leadership in the clubhouse and what he's meant to many young players along the way.
First saw him as a Twin. Cardinals played in the Metrodome many years ago. He was a young player for the Twins and kind of a different physique at the time, and really a good find for the Red Sox. Not a good find, a great find for the Red Sox.
2 balls and 1 strike on Matt Holliday. John Mozeliak said that Cardinals had coveted Matt Holliday for years before they ever even had a chance to get the trade done and eventually sign him. Long-term extension, and at one point John thought the deal was done, that they would not be able to get it to where both sides would agree on the contract, and a lot of fans thought he'd wind up with the Boston Red Sox, you might remember. But here he is in St. Louis, putting up big numbers again. 2-2 pitch. Strikes out. Mets win over the Phillies 6-5. David Wright with his 8th career game-winning walk-off hit. Phillies, one of those teams in a very tough spot from their management position on what they should do right now. 13 games back.
You were talking about disappointing teams earlier, and you mentioned Arizona, but the Phillies are high on my list. I thought, and I knew they were aging, but the fact that Cliff Lee has 1 victory and it's July 5th.
They will get Halladay. They'll get Ryan Howard. They'll get Utley. But Victorino and Cole Hamels are free agents, and it's one of those situations that you look at as a franchise. Is the run over? Do you retool? But when you have those kind of players coming back, you still should be able to get something very good for the 2 that you may have to trade. Now, whether it's prospects or combination of prospects and players that can fill some holes in the big league club, yet to be seen. That's a tough position that they are in, because they went all in with Lee and a number of those contracts.
And it's part of the reality of July baseball, and what it's become is we tend to have more conversations about trades because of the trading deadline, and there are teams that are going to be in or out over the next couple of weeks, and it's going to be the hot topic over a couple of weeks of which way do we go. And you can make or break a franchise, and you can bury a team by a bad decision, and you can lose an opportunity by a bad decision.
That is ripped down the left field line, but foul.
Cardinal fans have been conditioned over the years to think about getting a player like Cesar Cedeno or Dan Dreesen, Will Clark, Larry Walker, and getting those players towards the end of a season and making a difference in the pennant race. So we know how important those deals can be.
3-2 pitch out in front. It's popped up shallow center, and the catch is made. Two outs, runner at first, and the batter will be Alan Craig. The pitching matchups for this weekend: Westbrook and Velasco tomorrow. Saturday, Loesch and Zambrano. That's at 3:10. That start time on Saturday. And then Sunday, Joe Kelly, Anibal Sanchez. So the matchups that we saw the series in Miami, as Victor Marte is getting loose.
He's checking the Miami Marlins box score to see where they put Carlos Lee in the order, and at least in their game against the Brewers, they beat the Brewers 4-0 today. Lee 2 for 4, hitting in the 3rd spot between Hanley Ramirez and Logan Morrison. Stanton's had an injury, and he's been out, and that's part of the reason there.
The Astros, by the way, have 2 8-game losing skids this year. And last year they lost 106 games, and their longest losing streak was 7. This year already 2 with 8. Craig, hot shot to short. The catch is made. Welcome back to Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. Let's go to our studio with this Bommarito Sports Update.
Thanks very much, Dan. The Central leading Pirates again taking on the Astros tonight in Pittsburgh. Top 9. Pirates leading 2-0. Joel Hanrahan closing it out. Gets Chris Johnson to fly out. Pirates win 2-0. Buccos improved to 10 games over 500. Dan and Rick, back to you at Busch.
.46-36 for Pittsburgh as they lead the Central Division. Victor Marte is in after Barrett Browning retired the 3 men that he saw. He's retired all 12 batters he has faced this season. Not a bad debut, huh?
That's right up there. Yeah, that's right up there with some of the best debuts we've seen over the last 15 years. I know Jason Simon-Tachi was like that his first time in the big leagues, as was Lance Lynn. They both retired a number of hitters.
More than 440,000 Americans die each year from smoking-related illnesses, including cancer, heart disease, and stroke. 10,000 in Missouri alone. Call the Missouri Tobacco Quit line to quit now. 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Marco Scutaro will lead it off for Colorado. We're in the top of the 8th, and the Redbirds have a lead of 6 runs tonight. First pitch is a strike. Scutaro, Gonzalez, and Kadire. Big gap in left center field for Marco Scutaro. Strike 2.
As hot as the temperatures have been at Busch Stadium, I think it feels a little hotter when you're losing 6-0 for both the fans and the player. Cardinals playing very well here tonight, pitching well. Lance Lynn, a very good start, just 4 hits in 6 innings, 7 strikeouts. Cardinals bullpen has been good the last 5 nights.
Cardinals will see the Rockies at the end of July, July 31st, August 1st and 2nd at Coors Field. And both teams could look completely different at that point. Wouldn't think they'd tinker all that much with the Cardinals, but you never know with pitching and what's out there. Catch made by Carlos Beltran, and there's one away. On the other side, though, Colorado, could be a lot of moving parts around that time.
You wonder whether their experiment will still be going on, the 75 pitch limit.
They've said that they are sticking with this no matter what until the season is over. Rockies, prior to this series, were 5 runs average per game. This series, 2.3. Working on Todd Helton there. In the air to center. Gonzalez held in check in this series. 2 away. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the world champion St. Louis Cardinals. Along with Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes with us. Post-game show with Pat and Al. 2 outs, and here's Kadire.
41,751. 41751.
Right down the middle. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Another crowd over 40,000, 41,751 here tonight. We saw that picture here last night. Wonder what's going on in his mind.
Two and 2. Chris Carpenter in the bullpen. Base hit to left.
Tony La Russa asked his team last year to win without Adam Wainwright. And this year, Mike Matheny is going to be asking his team to win without Chris Carpenter. Everybody was looking forward to a healthy Chris Carpenter and Adam Wainwright at the top of a rotation. And it was just not meant to be. Unfortunately for St. Louis, Lance Lynn and Kyle Loesch are having outstanding seasons.
Tyler Colvin with 2 down. Play behind that runner at first base. Looked pretty good, didn't it?
Sure did. '94 nipped the inside corner.
The 2-1 pitch to Colvin. Two and two. That is hammered out to deep right field, and he has done it again. Tyler Colvin with a long home run over the bullpen in right. Rockies get on the board, and this guy is red hot.
And he's not just hot, he's power hot. And that's even worse. And that's a stroke down for sure. Really good swing, really long home run over the Cardinal bullpen.
Two outs. Jordan Pacheco for strike one. 423 feet on the distance of that home run. 4-2-3.
Blemish for the Cardinals bullpen, which has been very good of late. And when you look at the full season body of work, Victor Marte has been as consistent as anybody out there from the right side, not counting the closer, Jason Mott, and I guess you can't count Mitchell Boggs either. He's been very good in the 8th innings. But Marte's been solid.
Fernando Salas getting loose. Reaching for it and a base hit into right. It's a nice piece of hitting there.
Pacheco has the highest average of any rookie in the National League. Everybody talks about Bryce Harper. Nobody's talking about Pacheco, but he's batting over 300. And here's one of the reasons why. It's a pretty good pitch, off balance swing, but gets a base hit the other way. So 3 hits in a row now, and it gets a little bit dicey for the Cardinals. Not over yet. How quickly it can change, Dan.
Mm-hmm. So Salas will come in with 2 down and a runner at first. Cardinals leading 6-2 here at Busch Stadium. Carlos Beltran with our Schnucks Difference Maker Award tonight. Carlos 2 for 4, double, single, and 2 RBIs.
Been a bit quiet on this homestand, just 3 for 17. But 2 very big RBIs in the 5th inning. Doubled off the center field wall. That extended the Cardinals' lead at the time. A 5-run 5th inning. And now the Rockies are battling back here in the 8th inning. Fernando Salas will try to right the ship. Facing Willeen Rosario, who has home run potential of his own.
Derek Lilliquist finding a flaw with Fernando Salas and where he's standing on the mound. Moving more now to the left side. Paid dividends his last time. He felt that he was able to hit the corners a lot better. Better command. And he gets Rosario right here. And as you can see, it's really paid dividends.
On cue.
So moving to the left side. Well, and hopefully eliminating the middle of the plate.
Sometimes the pitching coach will have you try something. You'll go, aha, and he'll go, well, I hope that that's it. You're really just trying to get some positive vibes going.
2.28 ERA last year in 68 appearances. Good tailing action on that pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Had a kidney stone for the first 2 months of the season. Was sent down to the minor leagues. He passed the kidney stone. 2 scoreless innings last time out. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's a bad month when you get sent to the minor leagues and then you pass a kidney stone. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's what I'm saying.
Couldn't agree more.
Two and 2.
Did not look sharp on those last 2 pitches. Got away with a breaking ball that was up in the zone to Rosario. Does have 14 home runs, the most home runs by any rookie in the National League. So be careful here.
Hits it down the left field line a ton. And foul. Pan up a little bit. That's where it is. Keep on going. Up, 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 up. That's a long way.
I'll say. That would be Big Mac land extended.
2-2 pitch. Gets him to reach. Ground ball. Force play at second. Salas gets the out. It's 6-2. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. And by Taco Bell. Taco Bell, live Moss. Stan the Man statue just outside the main entrance of the ballpark. Carlos Torres comes in. His 6th appearance. He'll give Molina, Freese, and Salas a spot.
Yeah, the Cardinals saw him last night for a 1/3 of an inning. He's been up and down a few times, and He came back to Colorado when they sent out Outman, who pitched game 1 of this series. And really the pitching, when Colorado came to this ballpark, they were openly talking about how poor their pitching has been. And frankly, they've been a little bit better than advertised. Guthrie was okay here yesterday. Friedrich was okay here today, and then just ran into a bad inning and couldn't finish the 5th, but showed some signs. And I'm sure it's a lot worse for them in Colorado than it is for them on the road.
Yadier Molina flied out, grounded out twice. Last time into a double play. We're in the bottom of the 8th, and the first pitch is fouled back. This season, Molina, the home runs, career high, and with steals already. 9. Such an intelligent player. So 8 on the year, 1 shy of his career high. Here's the 0-2 pitch.
High baseball IQ, but he chased that one. Does not strike out very often.
You know, Rick, you'd have to think that Mike will be creative with his lineup this weekend. And the reason being, you're going to have temperatures triple digits with start times at 3:10 and 1:15. And you think about how you deal with that from a catcher's perspective. He knows quite well, Mike Matheny does. So you would have to think Molina is going to sit. How far do some of the starters go? Jeff Francis the other night said, I'm cooked. I'm done. I've got to get out of this game.
And no player that's going to the All-Star game is going to whine and complain about it, although players in the past used to. But the experience of going to an All-Star game, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of activities. There's a lot of things that you need to do with the media and the workouts and the activities. I mean, it's a show. It's a big 3-day show. We know that because we had it here in St. Louis not that long ago. So for Yadier Molina, he's not going to get the rest during the All-Star break that most catchers would get, because he's going to go there and represent the league. Again, he's glad he's going, but you have to find ways to make sure you keep Yadier Molina cool and rested. Hydrate. Get the towel on your head, a little massage. Hydrate. Trainers have to have a watchful eye on the pitchers and the catchers, probably more than anybody.
Schumacher to third. Cardinals go quietly against Torres. 6-2, Redbirds on top.
(6-2) Cardinals as we head to the 9th in St. Louis. Coming up after the game on the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, Pat Paris and Al Roboski will be at Lumiere Place. Lance Lynn gets his groove back. They'll tell you how. If freeze please is what you wanted, you got it. Plus Mike Matheny's post-game comments as well. Mitchell Boggs comes on for the Cardinals. We head back to the booth, and Dan and Rick, guys.
All right, thank you, Jim. Boggs coming in, 6-2, the lead in favor of the Redbirds. Marte has been the only one roughed up a bit tonight. From the Cardinals' perspective, 5-run bottom of the 5th for St. Louis.
Youngsters are happy. Why not? Lance Lynn should be happy as well. 6 solid innings, and maybe he's back on track. Hopefully his 11th victory in the season, just 3 outs away.
Our director is Tom Mead tonight. Rarely, if ever, do you hear Tom speak. He's so locked in. 0-2. Mike Kelly, our producer. Brian McCann, Keith Oberman, Keith O'Brien. All part of the telecast tonight. Danny Martinez, Dan Hyatt. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Jonathan Herrera. It is something. I mean, we try to talk to Tom, and you just cannot break that concentration he has going night in and night out.
Kind of an introvert, in fact. Jason Giambi will bat next. He's been a good pinch hitter for Jim Tracy. Something the Rockies have done well, pinch hit.
And they get plenty of chances.
They do.
Out of play, 1-2.
They have 6 pinch hit home runs on the season. Giambi has 1 of them.
Here's another 1-2 pitch. Strikeout for Boggs. 97. You talked about it last night. It's not just movement, but late movement. He had it on that pitch.
Good
Strikeout
pitch
for Boggs, and Lance Lynn is our Budweiser player of the game.
And really good pitches from Lance Lynn all night long. Just 4 hits, 2 walks. And both of those walks from Lynn came in the first inning. So he really settled down with his command after that. 7 strikeouts, and he is still averaging more than a strikeout an inning in the Cardinals rotation.
Giambi grounds out to second, and the Cardinals are 1 out away from taking 3 of 4 against the Rockies.
Mitchell Boggs trying to give Jason Mott the night off.
Strike 1 on Dexter Fowler. Ground ball right side and a base hit. Fowler on base for the 3rd time, 2 hits and a walk. Marco Scutaro.
Scutaro has flown out all 4 times. More of a line drive gap hitter. There have been no hits in the air for him.
Ground ball that's pulled foul. 0-2. Boggs looks sharp tonight, doesn't he?
He sure does. Nasty sinker. This Rocky offense has only scored 9 runs in their last 5 games. And the Cardinals hoping to win this series 3-1 with this pitch. Or the next one.
One-two pitch again from Boggs. Here it comes. Runner goes. It's a ground ball. Slowly hit. Charging for Kyle. Gloves. Can't make the play. Game is extended with 2 runners on. Infield hit.
Now we will see Jason Mott. Mitchell Boggs got the ground ball he wanted. Unfortunately, it wasn't hit hard enough. And for Call not able to make the play, an infield hit. And we're going to see the Cardinal closer trying to pick up his 19th save of the season.
We're back, and Jason Mott back in a game. Cardinals were hoping that would not be the case, but here they have a chance with the 2 runners on. And Gonzalez coming to the plate.
Tough assignment. That's what the closer often has to deal with. Gonzalez, one of the best hitters in the National League. Couple runners aboard in the 9th. Crowd cheering on Jason Mott, 18 for 22 in save opportunities.
2 outs, 2 on.
98.
And 2. Ground ball that is fair, and this will do it. Craig has it. Cardinals take 3 of 4, and they win it tonight.
Beltran, an offensive star, but the real star of this game, Lance Lynn, picking up his 11th victory. He's back on track. The Cardinals take 3 out of 4 against the Rockies, who are headed in the wrong direction.
It's on to the post-game show. Missouri Lottery Cardinals live, 6-2 our final.
Well, the game is over, and the Cardinals take 3 of 4 from the Rockies. Al Hrabosky and I standing by here at Lumiere Place to break it down. Your thoughts?
Took a little longer than we thought, but the bullpen took care of the things. You know, a bullpenner, you kind of do those things and everything to help get your save. For Jason Mott, he picks up 19, and Lance Lynn stops that little losing streak, that rough spell. He picks up his 11th win. He's tied for 2nd in the National League now.
Yeah, great to see that as well. More from Al coming up in just a few moments. After taking 2 of the first 3 against the Rockies, Redbirds do beat the Heat and make it 3 of 4 against the Rocks. Plus, All-Star Lance Lynn has been roughed up in his last 3 starts. Al will tell you why he was able to buck that trend in his final start before appearing in the All-Star break. We'll take you back to Busch Stadium for a little mic'd up with Mike Matheny and Cardinal player reaction as well. Want to wish a happy birthday to Huey Lewis. Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live is too hip to be square, and it's coming up next.